Greetings and salutations, YouTube. This is Fragments of Memory. I want to lay a video on you. Well, you all heard the phrase, it's just common sense. Why don't you use common sense? Why don't you use common sense? You know, that's kind of the phrase that's echoed and parroted by everybody. We worship that phrase and it becomes our silver bullet in many cases when we're having an argument. Like I know of someone where you say to them, hey, what's this all about? Oh, just use your common sense. And the reality is people forget this one rule. We are all coming from someplace. I did a video on it where I was just meandering in my thoughts. We're all coming from some place. And the thing is, we're not coming from the same place. Saying all that to say this. It is arrogant to assume that my experience is universal or the default experience through which others might be judged. Now, when we say that statement, what we're saying is, I don't want to be saddled with your inexperience. If you have any inexperience or incompetence, I don't want to deal with it. Therefore, you're not using common sense. But again, what is common for you may not necessarily be common for me. If I'm from the country, I may not know the ways of the city. Because, you know, you've heard that phrase, it's the title of a book on meditation called Wherever You Go, There You Are. So basically, you bring you with you. You bring yourself to the table, whatever that is, whatever experiences you have, good, bad, indifferent, whatever, you bring yourself to the table. And in bringing yourself to the table, you have to realize, you have to sort of put into perspective that what might be normal for you might be my abnormal. What might be a delight to you might be something that I find unpleasant. So this idea of common sense is utter nonsense. Yes, do I think people should be able to have self-awareness? Do I think that people should be able to have a certain sort of savvy or a certain sort of resilience? Sure, but it's just common sense. It's just common sense. Well, no, that's not necessarily true. Because what's common for you, what might be regular for you, might not be so regular for me. Think about people that, I'll give you a case in point. I went to school with a guy who was from Panama. And of course, Panama doesn't have our winters here in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, I was living in St. Charles at the time, and the gentleman, it snowed and I was pissed and he was happy, like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Now, mind you, he doesn't get snow where he comes from. But to him, that was beautiful simply because that is not part of his everyday reality. And sometimes we get this idea that our reality is the only reality, when in actuality, no, it isn't. Because there's certain things that I have not experienced that somebody else is normal. For me, it would be a new adventure and vice versa. So this idea of common sense, yes, we have a society that gives us norms and rules. However, even in a society where people have certain norms and rules, not everybody experiences the same things. Some people are ahead in certain areas and behind in others. And this is true for me, this is true for anyone that may be watching this video, this is true for all of humanity. So this idea that, oh, it's just common sense and he lacks common sense is a complete pile of horse manure. That's my 2 cents. What do you think about it? Peace, YouTube.